Ever wondered why you sometimes react with intense fear to situations that don't seem to warrant it? In the world we live in, there's a regrettable tendency to sweep fear under the rug, to simply ignore it. We put on our brave faces, construct a tough exterior, and tell ourselves that fear is a sign of weakness, something to be conquered and eradicated. But is that really the best way to deal with it? In the next few minutes, we'll be taking a deep dive into the consequences of ignoring or suppressing fear. You'll be surprised to find out that brushing fear aside can lead to intensified or even distorted fear responses, creating an internal turmoil that's far from pleasant. We'll also explore the role of dishonoring fear, an unhealthy habit often learned in our formative years. This disregard for fear can contribute significantly to the development of anxiety disorders, leading to excessive or irrational fear responses that can make everyday life a real challenge. Lastly, we'll shed some light on the manifestation of these anxiety disorders and how they can rob us of our ability to experience appropriate levels of fear when needed, thus diminishing our overall mental health and well-being. Understanding the impact of how we deal with fear is the first step towards a healthier relationship with this vital emotion. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey of understanding, acceptance, and ultimately, transformation. Ignoring or suppressing fear doesn't make it go away, it just changes how it shows up. Imagine yourself walking through a dark alley late at night. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, and your mind races with all the possible dangers that could be lurking in the shadows. This is fear, your body's natural response to potential threats. But what if instead of acknowledging this fear, you choose to ignore or suppress it? Ignoring fear is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It requires constant effort, and the moment you let your guard down, it pops back up, often with more force than before. Similarly, when we ignore or suppress our fears, they don't just disappear. They can intensify, leading to heightened anxiety, stress, and even panic attacks. Let's consider an example. Picture a young child who is terrified of dogs. If this fear is consistently ignored or dismissed by their parents, the child might grow up to develop an irrational fear of dogs or cynophobia. This could lead to avoidance of situations where dogs might be present, causing significant distress and interference in their daily life. Suppressing fear can also distort our fear responses. Returning to our dark alley scenario, imagine if you've become so good at suppressing fear that you don't even feel scared walking through a potentially dangerous situation. This might sound like a superpower, but it isn't. Fear is a survival mechanism. By suppressing it, we could put ourselves in real danger. Moreover, continuously ignoring or suppressing fear can lead to a cycle of fear avoidance. This means you start avoiding situations that make you afraid, which in turn can limit your experiences and lead to an overall reduction in your quality of life. In essence, fear is not something to be pushed aside or buried deep within us. It's a signal, a warning from our body that we need to pay attention to. Ignoring or suppressing fear can lead to it manifesting in unexpected and often harmful ways. So instead of pushing fear away, we should learn to listen to it, to understand it. That's the first step towards navigating fear effectively. Because remember, ignoring fear can lead to it manifesting in unexpected and often harmful ways. Our relationship with fear often begins in our childhood. This statement is both simple and profound, with layers of meaning that are worth delving into. You see, as children, we are taught a variety of lessons about the world around us. These lessons shape our understanding and responses to different situations. Fear is no exception. In many cases, children are taught to dishonor their fear. They are told to be brave, to not cry, to face their fears head-on without any regard for the emotion itself. This dishonoring of fear can lead to a number of issues later in life, including anxiety disorders. To understand why dishonoring fear can contribute to anxiety disorders, we first need to understand what fear is. Fear is an emotional response to potential danger. It's a survival mechanism that has been hardwired into our brains over thousands of years of evolution. It's designed to keep us safe by alerting us to potential threats and enabling us to respond appropriately. However, when we dishonor fear, we disrupt this natural process. We tell ourselves that our fear is irrational or unwarranted. We try to suppress it, to push it down, to ignore it. We tell ourselves that we should be brave, that we should not feel fear. This can lead to an unhealthy relationship with fear, where we either feel too much fear or not enough. Excessive fear can result in anxiety disorders. We might start to fear things that are not actually dangerous. We might start to feel fear in situations where it is not warranted. This is because we have trained our brains to see fear as something to be avoided, something negative. This can lead to a cycle of fear and anxiety, where we fear the fear itself. On the other hand, not feeling enough fear can also be problematic. This can lead to reckless behavior, as we do not recognize or respect the potential dangers in certain situations. This lack of fear can put us in harm's way, as we do not respond appropriately to potential threats. In both cases, dishonoring fear disrupts our natural fear response. It can lead to anxiety disorders, reckless behavior, and a variety of other issues. It is therefore crucial to honor our fear, to respect it, to listen to it. By doing so, we can ensure that our fear serves its intended purpose, to keep us safe. By dishonoring fear, we set ourselves up for a lifetime of anxiety, and that, my friends, is a path we surely want to avoid. Anxiety disorders are more than just being a little nervous. They are a manifestation of a deeper issue, a signal that the balance of fear within us has been disrupted. When we ignore or suppress our fears, or when we dishonor them, we may find ourselves trapped in the clutches of an anxiety disorder. These disorders can take many forms, from generalized anxiety disorder characterized by a constant sense of worry, to panic disorder marked by unexpected and repeated episodes of intense fear. These conditions aren't merely about feeling scared. They are about experiencing fear that is disproportionate to the situation at hand, or even feeling fear when there's no apparent threat at all. This distorted fear response can cripple our ability to function in daily life, hampering our decision-making skills, our relationships, and even our physical health. It's like living with a faulty alarm system that goes off at the slightest provocation, or sometimes without provocation at all. Addressing these disorders is a crucial part of maintaining our mental health and well-being. By acknowledging our fears and learning to manage them, we can recalibrate our internal alarm system, allowing us to experience fear at appropriate levels and respond to it in healthy ways. It's important to remember that anxiety disorders are not a sign of weakness or a character flaw. They are a call to action, a sign that it's time to start honoring our fear and treating it with the respect it deserves. Ignoring the signs of anxiety disorders only serves to fuel the fire. Fear is not our enemy, it's a survival instinct. It's a companion that has been with us through the ages, a constant whisper in our ears, a nudge to be cautious. It's not something to be ignored or suppressed, nor is it to be dishonored. It's time we change our perspective on fear. It's time we start acknowledging it, respecting it as an essential part of our existence. A vital emotion that, when understood and managed correctly, can help us navigate the maze of life with greater wisdom and courage. So, how do we cultivate a healthier relationship with fear? It starts with acceptance. Understand that fear is natural, it's a part of being human. Rather than pushing it away or hiding it under the rug, let's face it, let's own it. Next, we listen. Listen to what our fear is trying to tell us. Is it warning us of a potential danger? Is it reminding us to be cautious? Or is it merely an echo of past experiences, a ghost from our history? Then we engage. Engage in dialogue with our fear, ask it questions, seek its counsel, challenge it when it seems irrational. In this process, we might stumble, we might falter, but remember, it's a journey towards understanding, towards self-awareness. So let's start today. Take some time to reflect on your relationship with fear. It might be the first step towards a healthier, happier you.